Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have some computer flat screen monitors. I'm going to do a really quick scrap out video to show you just how poorly these ones perform. There's no value in them at all. It's not really worth your time, but you know, for those of us that like scrapping occasionally just for a bit of fun, or you're watching someone else's YouTube video and you want something to do with your hands, maybe it's worthwhile. Let's go through and we'll see how quickly we can do one of these monitors, and we'll add up what value we get. But I'll say right from the start, don't pick them up. If they are working and you've got them, you can sell them. I've seen this model's an Acer. It's a 19-inch screen. If they're in good working order, you can sell them. I've seen them sell on eBay for $30, $40. Even if you just put $5 on them at a garage sale and show that they're working, you're actually going to be better off than the scrap. Let's have a look. Okay, I ended up with a few of these from a school drop-off. When you do have contacts like that, you've got to take everything and make sure it gets recycled. My options are to send it straight to the e-waste transfer station as it is, which I will generally do with monitors. The only value you can get quickly is the cord, probably about 30 cents for the cord. Just chop the plugs off, throw that in your insulated wire bin, and the rest of it straight out to the transfer station for e-waste. That's what I generally do. This one's pretty scratched up. Quite often you get monitors where the computers are either got issues or been updated, especially from schools. The monitors can still sell, as I just mentioned. So if this was cleaner, I would put it in the shop and probably just put $20 on it. And that would be pretty good value for me. But for the purposes of this video, this one's not worth selling. I'm going to scrap it out and show you just how quickly it can be done, but how little return you get out of it. So we'll start by just turning it over. We've got to take the stand off for a start. On this particular Acer model, there's a couple of little plastic clips here to pop off, and you get to the screws that hold the stand in, and you need to take the stand off to remove the back cover. Alright, before I actually get going on this, let's keep an eye on the clock. Okay, you know what? Rather than watch a clock or have a stopwatch going, let's just try and do this whole job without editing or speeding up, and hopefully you find it interesting enough to keep watching, and we will have time on our video. So I'll try not to leave too many silence moments. That's just going to our e-waste bin. So I'll try and keep talking as we go through, so you just don't have silence. These screens generally pop apart, so it's a matter of getting the screwdriver between the plastic bezel and the screen. But the screen, they always have a metal surround, so as long as you don't actually put the screwdriver between the metal surround and the screen, you won't actually crack the screen. Once we start it, it's just a matter of levering the clips off. And they will clip back together because we're going to be sending the screen out to the transfer station. And you will have some wires at the base here that connect just to the lights, indicator lights at the front. We'll chop them off. So now the back cover comes off. Easy to get into. Now the actual main chassis on these isn't even connected. It's just got the wires. So we'll just lift it up. We'll pull the wires out. We'll snip these ones off back here. We're not going to try and get the fingerboards out from around the screen. There's very little value in those. So we'll put this part aside. And this screen can now go back in. So it's that easy to get the, well, when I say valuable bits, to get the pieces that are worth saving, well, they're not even, just to get the guts of it out. So we'll put that, clip that back on, and now that can go to the transfer station as a monitor. Now we've got our bits to rescue. Speaker wires we'll snip off. So those wires there, we have wires here that I think go to the backlights of the screen. They're very thin wires, or they actually go to the LCD screen. This wire here, this loom here, goes to the lights at the front. I'll snip them off. Now we just have some screws to remove the circuit boards. So I'm not going to speed this up at all, so you can keep an eye on how long the whole job takes. I save my hardware, of course. It's funny, the hardware is actually going to be almost more value than scrap metal. Okay, that board should come out. We have some wires here to snip. They're not even plugs. That one's not a plug anyway, I don't think. So there's a board. We'll look at that one again in a minute. Now this ribbon cable comes off. This little board is the only board that can actually be sold, as far as I'm concerned, is a mid-grade board. These take a little bit of time to get these out, but once you loosen them, they tend to undo fairly easily. So a bit of finger undoing time here. I guess if you're doing a lot of these in a row, you could have a little socket and undo them a bit quicker than this. So it's going to leave us with a little board that we can sell. As I said, I can sell the mid-grade boards. The power boards, the other one we took off, is only a power board, and I can't sell them here. Some of you might have a way to sell the power boards. Pull the plugs out of here. So that's going to go with my low-grade wire with plugs on. There's the little logic board that we can sell as a mid-grade board. That leaves us with this frame that can go in pressing steel, which I don't sell, but I'm going to weigh it up and value it for you. Okay, what do we got to go? Just this power board here. Normally I don't microscrap these, but in the interests of this video, we can lever off the transformers because they can sell. So there's one. There's a few transformers and coils on this one. Two transformers, a bigger transformer in the middle here. Sometimes they pop off easily. It depends on the gauge of the copper wire. We also have a coil here with copper wire on it. What else have we got on here? We've got a couple of little coils with copper wire here. Not sure if you can see those. They're really easy just to get the copper straight out of. You can actually just snip the tops off of them. Breaks the tops off because they're only a ferrite. And then we can stretch the copper wire off it. So rather than just put the coil in with transformers, we can actually get some nice clean, well, when I say clean, it's number 2 copper because it is lacquered. Still got a bit of ferrite in the middle of it. Okay, that's not as quick as it normally is. Quite often they just pull apart very easily. So there we go, a little bit of number 2 copper. Not very much. As I said, we don't get much value out of this at all. But we will microscope this board for any value we can get whilst we've got it here in front of us. Okay, what else is on the board that we can take? I can take the 2 IC chips, and the little ones just usually lever off very easily. A bit of a twist. So 2 of those. Okay, we have, at the risk of wasting time, we only have capacitors, which are certainly not taking off. They would only go as dirty aluminium anyway, and they weigh virtually nothing. There are diodes, no value. Resistors, no value. Little capacitors, no value. That's possibly a relay. No, I think it's a capacitor, so there's no value there. Capacitor there. No, we could only get the aluminium, extruded aluminium heat sinks here. Take a little bit of time, and they're not worth it, but I'm going to do it. We get a little bit more hardware. Now they also will be attached to the circuit board via some metal clips at the end, which makes them a little bit difficult to get out. If we break one end out, with one end out they will lever up off the board, and then we need to just get the other metal piece out, otherwise they'll go as irony aluminium. So there we go. And the other one. So there's nothing else on the board of any value at all to me. Sometimes there's a fuse, but there's only got a one that's actually attached, hardwired. Some people will try and salvage the back part of these MOSFETs. There will be copper. This one's actually plastic coated as well. It's so negligible, it's not worth getting out. So that's all I'm getting off that board. All right, we've wasted too much time looking at that. So what have we got to go? That's it. Let's have a look at what we got. And there's the spoils from our scrap out. Not very impressive, is it? We'll go through and weigh it up. It'll only be a matter of cents, but let's work it out. And I'll show you that the cord was, you know, by far the most easiest money here and the best money pretty much. So the assembled monitor can just go out to the transfer station now, along with what's left of that board. There's nothing else I want on there at all. We have our transformers, a couple of little IC chips, a little bit of hardware, the saleable mid-grade board, a bit of extruded aluminium heat sinks, some small amount of number 2 copper, a little bit of low-grade copper with plugs, a couple of bits of, will go as mid-grade copper wire, and some pressing steel. You could actually break these little standoffs out. They're solid steel. I did check them with a magnet. Sometimes they can be brass. It's always worth checking, but they're just steel. I'm just going to leave those in there. So we'll get the notepad out. Okay, you ready for this? These figures are decidedly underwhelming. We do have a matter of cents. The mid-grade wire, not counting the main cord, of course, just a cent. 2 cents for the low-grade wire, 1 cent. You can read all that. 8 cents for the mid-grade board. 9 cents for the transformers was the best scrap we got out of it. So a total of 27 cents. Now, I just looked back on the footage and it took me, I think, about 7 minutes, a whisker under 7 minutes by the time I subtracted all my chatter and non-productive time. Even if I could get down to 6 minutes, that's 10 of these an hour. $2.70 an hour is a pretty poor rate. So that pretty well sums it all up. Interestingly, the pressing steel, which I didn't add in that top figure because I give my pressing steel away, I don't have room to store it, that was actually the most valuable part of the scrap at 14 cents. So if you do save your pressing steel, you can add that to that total. What's that make it? 41 cents. The hardware I can get a little bit of a return on, whereas I appreciate a lot of you can't. I put it all in a jar and I get around about $5 a kilo in the shop. It depends what it is. If it's brass screws or if it's springs, I get better money, but just basic screws, about $5 a kilo. So there was actually 6 cents worth of hardware out of that monitor, which eclipses most of these items. So you can see that the scrap value out of these monitors was, I was going to say reasonably, it was most definitely dismal. 27 cents from what was inside, whereas we had 30 cents for the cord alone. So my advice, if you find one of these monitors and it's at all in usable condition, sell it. Even if you just get $5 for it, by far the best method. And it's the best method as far as recycling and everything goes as well. We're much better keeping these things in circulation than sending them to the waste stream. Next option, grab the cord. Your yard might take the whole monitor as shred, so you might get a little bit of value there. So if that's the case, do that. I can't do that. My option, if not selling, is grab the cord and send the rest of the monitor out for e-waste without pulling it apart. I don't have any further options because, to my mind, this isn't an option. So there you go, guys, a lesson in why you shouldn't scrap out monitors. I have one left here. Guess what I'm doing with it? The cord's already off it. It's going to the transfer station just as it is, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. So I hope you found that useful. Older monitors can be of more value, and certainly the CRT monitors do have better stuff in them. but modern LCD ones, they're just not worth the time to even pull the case apart. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.